2 events remain here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational as we are getting closer to crowning champions of the CrossFit competition at Dell Diamond Stadium in Round Rock, Texas. Thanks so much for being with us, everybody. I'm Sean Woodland with former Affiliate Cup champion Adrian Conway, and Kiki Dixon is down on the field. Event number 8, it's a Big Cat presented by Tier, and the theme of today is going to be flexibility in dealing with changes, and we've had some changes to this event as well.
Yeah, we have. We've had to call some audibles. The event that we're looking at for Big Cat, as it stands, is going to be 5 rounds of 6 box jumps at 36 inches for these women. Then they're going to handstand walk, and it must be unbroken for 50 feet. They're going to run to a dummy at the base of the hill, then return all the way back and move the marker each round that is out in front of their box that they're going to be jumping onto to let us know what round they're in.
First of 2 heats for the women. Danielle Brandon taking the floor. She's going to be in lane number 7, and anytime you add a handstand walk to anything, she's going to be an athlete to watch.
There's no doubt about it, Sean. She historically is the best athlete inverted in our sport to date, so I expect her to be able to make some moves there. 5 rounds, 50 feet unbroken. She's going to attack it confidently, and I think it'll play out very well for her at the end of this event.
Danielle Brandon coming into this event in 12th place overall. Finished 8th in the prior event. She has 355 points. She's only 20 points out of a spot inside the top 10.
Add in, she's also got that track and field background at Sacramento State, as we mentioned yesterday, going into that sprint event. And I think these plyometrics, these box jumps, should be something that she does very well also.
What are the keys of this event?
Well, I'll tell you, the keys to having success here is going to be that accuracy matters. That box jump is a bit of an unfamiliar height. Athletes have to tuck their knees up and land there softly. And then when we think about the accuracy of the handstand walk, it's got to be unbroken, so there's a little bit of internal pressure there, knowing that you're doing it on grass, and it's a little bit slick. And then, of course, on those jumps, jump and tuck, your ability to spend as little time on the floor as possible is going to allow you to have great success in this event. And if you got to stand around and wait for your legs to re-energize completely, it's going to take too long.
There's Emily Rolfe coming off a 6th place finish earlier today in Hulk Hands. Saw her win, I should say, the first heat.
Emily being one of the taller athletes in the field. Also, this movement here with the 36-inch box jumps could be a highlight for her.
Here we go.
The athletes are not going to be allowed to touch the box with their hands on the way up, but they are able to touch their hands to the box on the way down.
36 inches, it's a little less than a meter for these women. They'll do 6 reps, and then the handstand walk unbroken, 50 feet. There's 2 lines out there that they have to traverse. If they kick down, they have to go back to the beginning. And no shock, Danielle Brandon is out front early.
Yeah, and she was just in straight up attack mode, to be honest, right out of the gate in all blue as she's already run into that dummy to run around it. She was very aggressive on the box jumps, but what's most important is that she was accurate. There were no slips, there were no falls. She didn't hesitate, and if she can have clean runs like that, she's going to continue to lead the pack here.
Elena Karatala-Sanahuya is through. Flores is through. They're going to make them handstand walk every time they get back to that line.
And that's really going to accumulate through 5 rounds. These athletes are going to walk more than a football field. 50 feet out, 50 feet back, that's 100 feet every round for 5 rounds. It's going to really continue to accumulate in the upper body here. This lends even more of an advantage to an athlete like Danielle Brandon.
They have to move their chest piece, as you said, Adrian, every round. Now we are into round 2 for the leaders. Danielle Brandon going through her 6 reps, and she is done. It's 10 reps per round, 5 rounds here, 9-minute time cap, 50 scored reps total.
Now the standard is for the handstand walk, folks, that the athletes don't have to start with their hands behind the line. It's important to understand this. Their feet have to come to the line, and then their hands need to start on the other side of the line anywhere. So when you think about athletes kicking up, it's advantageous for them to almost lunge into that first handstand walk with the hands making contact to the ground to minimize the distance that they actually have to go.
Brandon has made the turn, and now she's back to her 50-foot handstand walk to close out her second of 5 rounds.
Danielle already creating a really comfortable cushion against the other women in this particular heat, but that's not what it's about for her. She wants to capitalize as many points as she can, Sean, especially on a day like today, the final day of competition. What you want to do is try to find yourself in the top 10 going into the final event so that you get to rub shoulders and be right there with the top athletes going into the final.
Danielle Brandon continues to lead. Ariel Lowen is behind her, followed by Paige Powers. Now 6 more box jumps, 36 inches. See Powers running by. Paige Powers, 16th place overall. She drags her chess piece to the next round. Lowen there as well. Ariel Lowen, 9th place right now. So cracking the top 10 after a 10th place finish in the prior event.
Danielle switching up her strategy a little bit. Her legs were static. She broke at the knee the entire time, but now she's letting her heels be a bit active. You wonder, does that help her carry forward with more momentum in some of this handstand walking, potentially reduce the time under tension there?
Danielle Brandon starting to open up a lead here. Lowen and Powers behind her, and Shelby Neal, another athlete to watch. Although Shelby Neal is one of the shorter athletes in the field, so these box jumps are going to take Shelby Neal a little bit of time, as Danielle Brandon is now done with her handstand walk. There is Shelby Neal.
And you can see her jumps are just a little bit more labored. Of course, being a shorter athlete, her hip height is much lower than that 36 inches at the base of the box. So she's literally got to go through more vertical displacement. She's got to jump higher inch for inch than the taller athletes in the field.
There's Ariel Lowen, who currently sits in 2nd place in this heat behind Danielle Brandon, but Brandon is already on to her 4th round of box jumps here. Here comes Ariel Lowen. And now Paige Powers on the right side of your screen, who's in 3rd place in this heat. 3 women into round 4. Brandon was first, Lowen was second, Powers was 3rd.
This is one of those events, Sean, that's a bit of an outlier. There's no loading whatsoever. We see the box jump. We categorize that as a bit of a gymnastics movement, moving our body through space. And then, of course, the handstand walk is something we know a bit more about, but it's important for these women to really do their very best any moment they can, because you never know what's going to happen. Even in the next heat, this is not a guarantee.
Paige Semenza has been able to break these up, so it doesn't look like they're making them go unbroken, as evidenced by what we're seeing right now. It doesn't matter for Danielle Brandon because she is just way out in front. She'll be entering her 5th and final round. Danielle Brandon, best finish was a 5th in the duel yesterday. Trying to work her way into the top 10 with 1 event remaining.
Yeah, and she's really going for 100 points here on this one, Sean. She's trying to capitalize as much as she can. And it's certainly an event. If she was being pushed by another athlete, I bet she could even go faster, but she's staying with as much urgency as possible as we watch Ariel Lowen and Paige Powers they're starting to go rep for rep here.
Paige Powers is creeping up on Lowen. The 2 of them moving the chess piece for the final time as Danielle Brandon is done with her box jumps and is way out in front here. 9-minute time cap in this event. 50 total scored repetitions, so Danielle Brandon is just about done. She'll go out and around, 1 more handstand walk, and then across the finish line. She looks to win the heat here.
It just looks like it's like how easy I walk on my legs. It looks like it costs her no energy, no focus, just upside down for a while. Oh, you want me to stop there? Cool, got it. No
Brandon is through, and Danielle Brandon will come across the finish line and win heat number 1 with a blistering time. 6:52.39 seconds for Danielle Brandon. And now the battle for second is between Paige Powers and Ariel Lowen. Powers has taken the lead from Lowen as Powers is to her final handstand walk first. Here comes Ariel Lowen. Powers is down, and now the sprint to the finish. So Paige Powers with a great effort late to overtake Ariel Lowen, and Powers is going to take second in the heat. Now Lowen is done. 7:28.65 seconds for Powers. And Lowen is across with less than 90 seconds to go before we hit the time cap.
And I'll tell you, Sean, that's great to see from Paige Powers. It's kind of something, you know, I've been waiting to see from her through the course of this weekend. I want to see her step up and seize the moment against going head-to-head with a veteran and such a fit woman as Ariel Lowen is. I wondered, would Paige rise to the occasion and compete with her down the stretch? And she did just that. It was a great way to watch her seize the moment there to finish up Big Cat.
A minute to go now as Shelby Neal looking to be the next woman across the finish line. She's got to complete this handstand walk as Paige Semenza has just finished round 4.
You know, I really like this event for Paige Semenza. I saw those box jumps and I was like, oh, she's fast, she's explosive. But it seems like that handstand walk has created a bit of an obstacle for her.
Shelby Neal is done, and Shelby Neal will get in inside that 9-minute time cap. (8:34.51 seconds). Kyra Milligan dragging her chest piece into the final box as Bethany Flores is coming across the finish line. Flores will have a couple seconds to spare as she gets in inside the 9-minute time cap. Now Elena Karatala and Colleen Freyova are in a foot race. Freyova trying to track down Karatala, just running out of real estate. And that's the time cap. So not sure if Freyova and Karatala were able to make it inside of that time, but Danielle Brandon had no problem. 6:52.39 seconds to set the time to beat heading into heat number 2.
And that is going to be a tough time to beat, even for the women that are coming out in this second heat, because she stayed on the gas pedal the entire time. We talked about you needing to be accurate. Well, she did that at every element. We talked about needing to jump and tuck, and she did that right out of the gate. She set a blistering pace even on the box jumps early, using her hands to descend in a very smart way to reduce the bounding, keep her heart rate low, and it didn't really matter for the handstand walking, honestly, for Danielle. She is so proficient upside down. Look at the things that she does well. Arms are completely locked out. She stays stacked. She bends her knees when she wants, and she said, give me more. I like more of that, to take Big Cat all the way for the top spot, and that's going to be a tough time to beat.
Danielle Brandon, 6:52.39 seconds, the only woman to go sub-7 as 5 women get inside that 9-minute time cap. Freyova and Karatala Sanahuyu just unable to get there. They were close, though. Emily Rolfe is going to take 8th, followed by Semenza and Kyra Milligan. Second and final heat coming up next as they get the field reset. Athletes are already out before they take their positions. Here are the overall standings with 2 events remaining. Laurel Horvath now has a 15-point lead over Tia Toomey. Gabby McGowan sits in 3rd now, but Emma Lawson is just 5 points back. Alex Gazan is 25 points back. 3 women in a battle for the 3rd spot on the podium. And there's our overall leader, Laurel Horvath.
And I don't imagine she has any problems with any of these 3 movements either. So she's got to be excited about the event that's looming here. And I feel we can put Tia in that same boat.
Tia Toomey has 2 event wins. Laurel Horvath has 2 event wins. And each of them has 1 finish outside of the top 10 coming into this event. Adrian Keys here.
Yeah, the keys are accuracy matters, and that includes the box jump and the handstand walk. And it's a lot of volume of upside down, so you've got to have confidence there, making sure you're handling business the way that you can. And jump and tuck on those box jumps. We saw someone with an athletic background like track and field, Danielle Brandon, in the last heat have great success. We're going to see. We know that that's in the back pocket there for Tia Claire Toomey. That could be something that she excels at as well. Gets off to a fast pace and might get an early lead coming right off those boxes.
There is Emma Lawson, who fell 1 spot after the last event from 3rd down to 4th, but only 5 points back at Gabby McGowan for 3rd place. Alex Gazan in the gray shorts in the middle of your screen. She is also in that fight for third place. First of 5 rounds starts with those 6 box jumps at 36 inches. Again, just about less than a meter that they're having to vault here.
Now, there's one difference already. Tia-Clair Toomey is not putting her hands on the box. She literally jumped straight down, and that gained her just a couple seconds of an advantage here to come away from the box early.
It's Toomey, Lawson, and Horvath, the first 3 women to the first handstand walk. Toomey is out front here looking to make up a 15-point deficit on Horvath for the top spot in the overall standings. Toomey is through.
And again, there's a lot of time that can be lost in these transitions. If you're confident upside down, you've got to keep your foot on the gas pedal even on this dummy run.
Emma Lawson is even with Horvath and McGowan. Lawson looking to finish ahead of McGowan to try to get back inside the top 3 as Tia Toomey leads early here at the end of round number 1.
And Tia looking strong upside down, and you wonder, historically, Tia knowing Laura might have some weakness with inverted movements. Is this an opportunity for her to make up some points? You certainly like the chances for the champ to capitalize and close the gap there on the leader here a little bit in this event.
Toomey into round 2, Horvath into round 2, McGowan and Lawson right behind her, and Alex Gazan is there as well. Christine Kohlenbrander very tight here.
And here it is, more of the same. Tia using no hands on the descent. Watch how it takes Laura about a half a second longer to bend over, put her hands down, and then drop down. And Tia makes up that time for every repetition. And that's going to add up throughout these 5 rounds.
Toomey off now on her second round handstand walk. Here come Horvath and Lawson. So Lawson right now ahead of McGowan. McGowan's in the brown pants, right side of your screen. And Emma Carey is there as well. She's on the upper part of your screen now in the all black. Toomey has already made the turn on her run. Tia Toomey starting to open up a little bit of a lead here in the second of these 5 rounds. 50 total scored repetitions, and the time to beat 6:52.39 seconds from Danielle Brandon.
Yeah, and again, when we watch women do something like this, Sean, 50 feet consecutively, unbroken handstand walk, you're like, wow, it looks so easy. Folks, it's not easy. And it's not easy for anyone that's completely fresh, and these women are not fresh. This is event number 8 of 4 days of competition. They have been through the ringer, and yet they continue to move with such proficiency, and they train at such high volumes and at such a professional level that they do make it look easy. But don't be mistaken, it's not easy.
Toomey into round 3 along with Horvath, and now Gabby McGowan, and Emma Lawson moving her chest piece as well. Lawson on the bottom right part of your screen. She's got to really be focused on Gabby McGowan, who's on the left in those brown pants. That's the battle for third place right now. Lawson trailing McGowan by just 5 points in the overall standings. Lawson coming off a 7th place finish earlier today in Hulk hands. She's only had 1 finish outside of the top 10.
Yeah, she's been very consistent, which is something that we've noticed from Emma as she's even stepped on the scene just a couple years ago. And she's in a great position right now. She's going to be within striking distance of even being able to potentially close the gap on Laura here as we get into these deeper rounds. We'll see if Laura's able to sustain the threshold pace that she's at right now.
Tia Toomey still in the lead as she's making her return trip on this 3rd round. Laura Horvath just took off on the run. There's Toomey working her way back. Lawson is now slightly ahead of McGowan. And Emma Carey is starting to move up as well. Emma Carey pushing Laura Horvath for 2nd place in the heat right now. There goes Horvath trying to catch up with Tia Toomey. Toomey has moved her chest piece, and she is into round 4 now. 6 more box jumps at 36 inches for the 3-time Rogue Invitational champion, 6-time fittest woman on earth. There is Emma Carey. Carey in 6th place overall, 425 points, 65 points back of Gabby McGowan.
Yep, so that podium still a very realistic threat for Emma Carey. She has an opportunity to get there with this and 1 more scored event left to go. And I know that she's got that in the back of her mind. She can walk on her hands as fast as anyone in the field. So I'm sure that's where she's been able to make up a lot of her ground. As we saw, the box jump for Emma Carey is something that was still taking her a bit of time. She's one of the shorter athletes in the field.
Laura Horvath is still in second place now. Emma Carey is in third. Toomey has made the turn on the run here as Laura Horvath closes out her first handstand walk. Toomey will handstand walk her way back. Emma Carey on the right side.
Yeah, and that's where you saw step for step, she's a little bit quicker on her hands, and that's where she's able to close the gap on Laura a little bit each round. Laura still looking like she's in control, though, there with that second spot for now.
Carey has now just made the turn on the run. Emma Lawson is ahead of Gabby McGowan as well. So keep an eye on that race as Tia Toomey will head into her fifth and final round. 6:52.39 seconds. That's the time to beat Danielle Brandon in heat number 1. Final round now for Toomey. Laura Horvath coming back to move her chess piece. Almost runs into a camera person on the way back. Now Horvath heading back to the box to join Tia Toomey, who just has 1 rep remaining. So Toomey's done.
This is also where we see how much urgency Tia has to finish to try to beat Danielle's already set time at 6:52.
Emma Lawson is now onto her box jumps, and Emma Carey, will keep an eye on her. She's on the far side of the field in lane 10. Laura Horvath takes off. Emma Carey is on her last box jump, so Carey now in third place. But what's important for Emma Lawson is that she is leading Gabby McGowan. That's the fight for third place right now, as Tia Toomey's on her way back, and Danielle Brandon's going to win this event. She was the only woman to go sub-7. Some of the times from heat 1 starting to be a factor here, but Toomey doing all she can here in this heat, leading Laura Horvath as she tries to cut into that 15-point lead that Horvath has right now for the top spot in the overall standings. Toomey is done, and Tia Toomey will get across the finish line and take heat number 2. Now the question is, how many points will she pick up in the process? Laura Horvath looking to be the next woman to finish. As Manon Anganese is now going to move her chess piece. She's into round number 5. Here comes Laura Horvath and Emma Carey, and Emma Carey has passed Horvath. This is going to be close. Horvath may have edged her out. And she does by 0.2 of a second, and that is big. As now Emma Lawson is in ahead of Gabby McGowan. But remember, we still have times from that first heat that are going to affect things here. And here comes Gabby McGowan with less than a minute to go. Horvath may have saved herself 5 huge points as she tries to hold off Tia Toomey heading into the final event. There's Manon Anganese going through her final round of box jumps. Danny Spiegel is now working her way to the finish line. There goes Danny. 30 seconds to go before we hit the time cap as Spiegel comes across the finish. Lauren Fisher just about done. Alex Gazan is done. Gazan was trying to battle with Lawson and McGowan for 3rd place overall. She's going to fall back in that battle. And that will be the time cap. Tia Toomey will win the heat as Lauren Fisher is still on the field, but she will not win the event. The question now is, how many points did she pick up on Laura Horvath as we head into the final event of the competition?
Woo-wee, it's getting exciting, and we're going to have to see that when these points get all tabulated and official, of course. But Tia did exactly what she needed to do in order to create a little bit of a less cushion there for Horvath as the leader. And it was Tia right out of the gate. She did tremendous on the box jumps. She was smooth and fluid on the handstand walk, and this is the separator here between her and Danielle Brandon. Danielle Brandon just with more speed, covering more ground every time she put her hands on the ground. But Tia leading the way in the charge all the way through, going unbroken on each and every handstand walk on the jumps. She chose just a different strategy. No hands to the box. She was going to free fall to the floor every time and quickly jump and tuck her way back onto the box. And she was in control this entire event. And then, of course, the finish and the cheer for the crowd. She's got to be pumped about that.
Here are your event results. Danielle Brandon picks up the win, her first of the competition. First Rogue Invitational win of her career. Danielle Brandon with those 100 points, moving her up the overall standings. Tia Toomey, well, this is big. Looks like she has erased that deficit, taking second place and earning 95 points. And we could have a tie atop the overall standings as Laura Horvath comes in fifth place. But that is unofficial. Kiki Dixon is with Tia Toomey.
Tia, you just picked up 95 points for this particular event. With this event, in total, you handstand walked the length of a football field. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being fire, what was that like for your upper body?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was that hard in the upper body. Maybe because throughout the weekend we've just been doing a lot of lower body stuff, and so I think everyone's thinking about their posterior.
So maybe a nice little break here. Yeah. I noticed that on your box jumps, you opted to not put your hands on them. Why?
Because it wasn't as high as what I know I'm capable of going. So it was a pretty decent height, and yeah, I just didn't need to.
With one more event to go, are you feeling any pressure, and why or why not?
You know, there's always pressure when you compete because it matters, right? You know, we're all here to win, and pressure's good. This is what we compete, and I think that's why everyone's so competitive, because the pressure, the adrenaline, all the emotions that we all feel competing just adds to the experience. And we don't know what is ahead of us, but I'm ready for a dogfight, and let's bring it on.
Excellent. Thank you, Tia.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Tia Toomey with a second place finish, 95 points, and it may be winner take all in the 9th and final event.
That response to that question just fired me up, Sean. I mean, I was up here, we're in this nice, warm, cozy booth. I was like, that got me some adrenaline pumping from me.
Tia Toomey and Laura Horvath. And this is big for Horvath because this is why she may be tied. Look at how close it was between her and Emma Carey there at the end. Horvath by less than a second ahead of Emma Carey. But that can be the difference between a tie and a 5-point deficit going into the final event for Laura Horvath. And now the men are set. And we will make a quick transition now as the men will take over here for their 8th event. Big Cat, presented by Tier. Lane assignments for the opening heat. Dallin Pepper will be in lane number 4, and he's coming off that event win.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling good, ready to attack, of course, Sean. And he's got a wide athletic background, baseball and football in high school. So these box jumps in this run aren't going to present any problem for him.
And Dallin Pepper moving up to 13th place overall, courtesy of those 100 points. Box jump height moving to 42 inches here, and everything else will remain the same for the men. There's Yella Hosta, who shouldn't have much trouble with this height.
Yeah, no problem for Yella. You'll notice all of the men right now immediately using a step back method. Folks, when we're watching this, they're loading their body and creating some forward momentum so that jump's just a little bit easier. It taxes their legs just a touch less, but of course it slows the cycle rate.
Victor Hoffer and Tudor Magda, who are out front here. 10 reps per round. And Tudor Magda is a guy who's extremely fast on his hands. You see Ricky Garrard getting through. Magda making the turn in the blue shirt. And he will kick back up, and watch how fast he can move on his hands.
Yeah, he really has a unique ability to transfer that same momentum as he kicks up on his legs with no pause to allow that to literally traject him forward on his hands, and he's known for doing exactly what you're saying, Sean.
Victor Hoffer is your leader, moving his chess piece into round number 2. Here comes Tudor Magda. Victor Hoffer, 18th place overall. Best finish was a 3rd in event 4.
And Hoffer, another one of those athletes, didn't choose to take any deadlifts last night. Addressed the bar and just kind of bowed out.
And he is off as Victor Hoffer. Tudor Magda with 1 rep to go, and he'll head back to the handstand walk. Victor Hoffer, one of those athletes on the rise on the men's side of the competition, making his first appearance at the Rogue Invitational. It's Bailey Martin and Tudor Magda right behind him. Ricky Garrard is there in the background as well in the black shirt. Magda's through. It's Victor Hoffer, left side of your screen, who's getting set to close out round number 2. First of 2 heats for the men here. The 8th of 9 events that they will face here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational. And now Hoffer is into round 3.
And we watched Hoffer excel in 10th inning yesterday. We wondered and we discussed a little bit, hey, is this too much of an aggressive pace for Victor? Can he hold on to this? He was able to hang on for sure. So with this being, 2 rounds, him beginning his 3rd into 5, he looks composed, he looks under control. We know that he prefers gymnastics movements, so he really likes that handstand walk as the meat and potatoes here of this event. So I'm sure that has to do with his aggressive pace that he set. We'll see if he can hold on.
Tudor Magda is still in 2nd place. Garrard and Martin tied for 3rd, as Magda has a couple of reps remaining here on the box jump. There is Dallin Pepper, who won the last event. This is his first appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. We have yet to have a repeat winner of an event here for the men at the Invitational.
Victor Hoffer in first, Magda in second.
Victor Hoffer is opening up a lead as Tudor Magda in the background is the man in 2nd place. He's now just finished his handstand walk here in round 3. Hoffer getting set to move himself into round 4. There's Yellow Hosta starting his handstand walk in round 3. Hoffer is your leader, and now back to the chess piece goes Victor Hoffer. Tudor Magda is on his final handstand walk here in round 3. Magda going into round 4 after this as Victor Hoffer has just moved his chess piece. Hoffer into round 4. 50 total scored reps here, 9-minute time cap. Tudor Magda 15th place overall. Best performance again was the max rep deadlift, 595 pounds last night to take 2nd place.
Yeah, great performance there by Tudor last night. And this event kind of presents itself in his wheelhouse. Again, a little bit of a shorter time domain, more explosive-based movements with the skill set in the inverted portion of the handstand walk that we know he thrives in.
Tudor Magda, right side of your screen, is now done with his 4th round of box jumps, but Victor Hoffer, no shirt and the gray shorts, now rounding the pylon as he makes his return trip in round 4. He's got a pretty huge lead here. He's going to be tough to catch.
Yeah, Hoffer with a gymnastics background, utilizing a very similar execution to the way we've seen other athletes do it. Slight bend in the knees in order to keep his center of mass over his shoulders. Folks might say, well, if Hoffer's got a gymnastics background, why doesn't he walk with his legs straight like a pencil? Why doesn't his body look like it's all connected in one unit? Well, these athletes know the direction they're going. They're not going to stop. They're not pivoting. They're not pirouetting. They're literally just moving forward through space for time. You want to create as much leverage as you can as you walk on your hands forward. That break at the knee allows them to almost be pulled forward by gravity and the weight of their heels so that they can keep the speed that they've set.
Final round for Victor Hoffer as Tudor Magda is getting set to move his chess piece to begin round number 5. 5th and final round here. Dallin Pepper has moved up as well. Pepper is getting close to Magda here for 2nd place in the heat. Ricky Garrard sits in fourth. He separated himself from Bailey Martin as Victor Hoffer is now done with his final set of box jumps. Tudor Magda working on his final set as well. And he is done, and off goes Tudor Magda. Hoffer just completed his handstand walk, and he's making the run to the pylon at the bottom of the hill. One final handstand walk for Victor Hoffer, and this should not be much of a problem for him, and then he's got to get himself across the finish line, see if he can do it inside 7 minutes. He's going to have to put on a pretty good sprint to get there. But Victor Hoffer is going to take heat number 1, and he was never even challenged. Victor Hoffer is in, and he sets the time to beat at 7:01.41 seconds.
Tudor.
Now Tudor Magda will take second. 7:18.36 seconds for him, and Dallin Pepper working his way across the finish line. Ricky Garrard will come across in fourth. Waiting on times for Pepper and Garrard, but we do know the best time, Victor Hoffer, 7:01.41. Lazar Dukic is in. Now here comes Bailey Martin.
And we have yet to see anyone who started with the lead relent it to anyone else, Sean. These athletes who know that they can excel at this handstand walk portion specifically, I think, really get after that first round of box jumps, and they don't let up. They don't let anyone else even come to contend.
There is Yellow Hosta. Got to finish up his handstand walk. And Hosta is going to get in with time to spare. We still have 2 men out there on the field. Garrett Clark and Will Morad. 30 seconds to go before we hit the time cap. Clark is going to be able to get in inside of that. Will Morad's just about done as well, but Morad's probably going to run out of time here.
Great effort, great fight there by Garrett Clark, we were discussing last night. He's hardly got any skin left on one of his hands.
Morad's going to give it a go, and he may sneak in. Not sure if he made it in time, doesn't look like it, but it was close for Will Morad. It was not close for Victor Hoffer. He cruised to a heat win, 7:01.41 seconds for the Frenchman.
Victor Cruz, he came out aggressive, stayed aggressive, ran his race, stayed under threshold the whole time.
Now 1 heat remains, and Victor Hoffer will wait and see if that result will be good enough to get him 100 points.
Yeah, and he was smooth from beginning to end, and it started with his box jumps. He chose to not use hands on the way down, similar to what we saw Tia do. And then the handstand walk is ultimately where he had the capacity to really take control of this event. And I don't think he slowed down the entire time. It was a very steady walk each time. He hit the dummy with a jog. And then, of course, he had that great feeling of coming across for at least the heat win. We'll see if his time holds up at 7:01.41 to lead as we watch the men get ready to take the field here for heat number 2.
Victor Hoffer does have 2 finishes of 5th or better, but everything after that is 16th or worse, so hoping to right the ship here in event number 8. Here are your overall standings after 7. Pat Vellner saw his 90-point lead shrink to 70 points as Roman Krennikov leapfrogs Jeff Adler now. Adler just 5 points back. Hopper and Fakowski and Hosta all still alive, as is Travis Mayer for a spot on the podium with 2 events remaining here. And the overall leaders will be out on the field for the second and final heat of Big Cat. Pat Vellner in lane 6, looking to repeat as Invitational champion. He won this competition back in 2020. He's the only former champion in the field, and Roman Krennikov looking to keep himself on the podium.
Yeah, Roman's focused, and he had a great start to the day, and now we're going to see how he manages the handstand walking here. I don't think the box jumps will present any problem. High volume handstand walking versus some of these great men in this field could be tough for Roman, but we'll see how it plays out.
There is Jeff Adler, who right now sits in third place overall, just 5 points back of Krennikov. Final heat is underway. Victor Hoffer has your top time, 7:01.41 seconds. And there just really is not a lot of opportunity here to make up ground on people if they get too far ahead.
That's right, and that's what we've seen every heat so far. The leader coming off these box jumps, so watch it closely, folks. Whoever turns and runs first, and it's Brett Fikowski. We haven't seen them relent the lead, so we'll see if that's how this goes for Brett here in this particular heat.
Fikowski out front early, and just about everybody else is right behind him here as he is on his first handstand walk in round 1 of 5. Fikowski is across.
Sean, and this is really a particular event where it pays to walk, yes, and walk unbroken, of course, but walk fast. Danielle Brandon excelled at it. Tia had the next fastest speed, and we saw Tudor even in the last heat almost be able to make up some ground on Victor Hoffer there due to his ability to walk fast on his hands. So that's going to really accumulate for these athletes. Who can walk, that's great, but who can walk fast?
Brett Fikowski is the first man through. There is Roman Krennikov is dead even with Vellner and Adler. Jake Crouch down in lane 10. He's right behind Fikowski. Fikowski is heading back to the box to start round 2. Vellner and Crouch right behind him. Adler's right there as well, as is Roman Krennikov. 6 more reps here. At 42 inches, just about 1 meter. There is Travis Mayer. Mayer coming in 7th place overall, 430 points. He's going to have some pretty huge performances in these final 2 events if he wants to get himself on the podium, but he is still alive. And Jay Crouch is off. Fikowski continues to lead. It's Adler in 2nd, followed by Vellner and Crouch. Jason Hopper in 4th place, 10 points back of Jeff Adler for 3rd, is falling back here in this heat. Fikowski is still out front, keeping those arms at his side.
You can count on the professor, always doing something a little different than the rest of the field, and he's known for that. He's going to try to find any space, any reprieve, any rest, any way to circulate blood to a recovering muscle that he can find, and that is really what has helped him continue to excel as an athlete. He's been in this game for a while. He takes every lesson, and he makes note, puts it in his pocket, and uses it to his advantage.
Fikowski just like he slept on his arms. Into round number 3. Adler and Vellner are close behind Jay Crouch. Now Fikowski gets 1 rep in before Adler, Vellner, and Crouch start their set of 6 here. Final rep for Fikowski, and he's done. He moves back to the handstand walk. Adler now in 2nd place ahead of Pat Vellner. So Roman Krennikov is starting to fall back a little bit here. He's only up 5 points on Adler, so Adler can overtake Krennikov here in this event if this continues.
Yeah, I really think this handstand walk is where a lot of the pacing has to be dictated for these athletes. They can run as fast as they'd like, but it doesn't matter if they get back to the handstand walk and they don't trust their ability to perform there. So a lot of what we're seeing is just simply pacing around, getting upside down so that they feel like they're ready and can go unbroken.
Krennikov falling back to the leaders. There's Travis Mayer on the right just making the turn and coming back. as Brent Fikowski continues to lead here. Krennikov coming off a second place finish this morning in Hulkhan's.
There's going to be a race as Jay Allen first, Fikowski in second.
Now Crouch has moved ahead of Fikowski. This is the first time that we've seen a leader this late surrender that lead. So Fikowski and Crouch are neck and neck.
And when we talk about body language, which everybody knows I like to address that and watch it very closely, Jay Crouch looks composed. He looks relaxed. He's not shaking his arms out the same way Brent is, which could allude to the fact that he's not feeling as tired or as run down. So this could be a great opportunity for him to overtake the lead and perhaps make a great run at trying to win an event.
Fikowski and Crouch done at the exact same time. As they head back to the handstand walk, Adler is now in third place, just ahead of Pat Vellner.
And we see Crouch with a 5 to 7 foot lead right now over Brent Fikowski, neck and neck.
Crouch is done first. Crouch back in front of Fikowski as they close out round 4. One round remains after this. Jason Hopper, meanwhile, he has fallen back. Hopper was in the mix coming into this event for a spot on the podium. Fourth place overall, just 10 points back of Jeff Adler.
That surprises me about Hopper for this particular event. I wonder if he doesn't trust his ability to walk upside down, lacks the capacity to walk this much in an event.
There goes our leader right now in the heat, Jay Crouch, who has opened up a cushion on Brent Fikowski. As now Crouch will head back to the box for his final rep. Fikowski just getting to the chest piece. Adler and Vellner are neck and neck behind him, and Travis Mayer is now starting to push Adler and Vellner for third place.
Mayer, much more urgency in his transition there, even to drop his marker. Which of course, hey, when we consider transitions, that's a big deal. That can save you time.
There's Roman Krennikov, who is now just finished up round 4. Time to beat upper right-hand part of your screen. That's Victor Hoffer's mark from Heat 1, and it looks like that's going to stand.
Yeah.
And that would give us our 7th different event winner here at the Rogue Invitational, as Brent Fikowski is trying to catch up to Jay Crouch. Crouch has made the turn at the pylon and is working his way back.
Got Adler slightly ahead of Vellner there.
Those two have been joined at the hip throughout this entire event. Here comes Fikowski in second place behind Crouch. Crouch is just kicking down now. He will work his way across the finish line. He's not going to win the event, but Jay Crouch will win his heat. 12th place overall coming in as he looks to finish inside the top 10 here at the Rogue Invitational, and that will help him. 7:21.36 seconds. And now Fikowski is in. Fikowski 5th place overall with 450 points, trying to make up 25 points on Jeff Adler. Adler in a foot race now with Vellner. Adler moved out of his lane. He's across. Olsen's going to edge out Vellner for some valuable points for Noah Olsen, as he looks to work his way back inside the top 10. 11th place overall for him. Mayer is across as well. And Roman Krennikov has fallen way off. Krennikov is done. Jason Hopper is going to get in ahead of him. And here comes Roman Krennikov. Chandler Smith just finishing up. He is in. There's Bjorven Carl Gudmundsson, who is across. And that will do it for Heat 2. Victor Hoffer is going to pick up his first career event win at the Rogue Invitational. Pat Vellner will have a few more points shaved off of his lead, but still in very good position to win his second Rogue Invitational Championship with now just one event remaining. kind of the announcer jinx there. We said we haven't seen anybody give up a lead, and then Brent Fikowski was out front early, but Jay Crouch is able to reel him in.
That's right. We haven't seen it yet. It was a new thing for us to see here, but that tells me that Jay Crouch honestly paced it very well for himself. He didn't come out too hot. He didn't try to lead from the beginning, but he met himself exactly where he was. He felt good going into that 4th round specifically, where he was really able to show that he was going to overtake Brent for that lead, and he executed. And we saw a lot of Fikowski early because, of course, he was the leader. Smooth on his box jumps, using that hand to the box descend that we've seen from the majority of the field today. And he really didn't do bad on his hands. He did a great job, but this is where we started to see Jay Crouch at the top of your screen take a more significant lead, and he never gave it back to Brent there at that point. He was smooth over that handstand walk and then smooth the rest of the way in this event as we see him taking on his final handstand walk through the finish here. Fast on his hands, eyes on the grass, feet well out in front of his hands, and that gave him the momentum he needed to carry it all the way through the finish line.
Jay Crouch wins the heat. Brent Fikowski looking to creep closer to a spot on the podium. The professor is with Kiki Dixon.
You grabbed some solid points here for that leaderboard. This event with the box jumps and the handstand walks, what was challenging? What was the most challenging thing about this?
Just having confidence in the handstand walks, something I've been working on. But yeah, I mean, you're out of breath and you want to take a nice deep breath and then kick up, but you just have to run into it. So I was able to do that and kind of make some separation on the box. So it was good.
Like we talked about, you're going to grab some points. You're going to jump up that leaderboard. What can we expect from you from this final event coming up?
My best. And so we don't know what the event is. I got a briefing in like 2.5 minutes, and we're going to figure out what it is. And I'm going to do my best, and hopefully it's enough to keep me near the tippy top.
All right, well, then we'll let you get to that briefing. Thanks.
Thanks.
Victor Hoffer will pick up the event win, first of his career in his first appearance here at the Invitational, 7:01.41 seconds. Tudor Magda, he's going to take second. Top times coming from heat number 1. Jay Crouch will finish third. He'll pick up 90 points, followed by Dallin Pepper and Ricky Garrard. Brent Fikowski will take 6th, as he's able to pick up 10 points on Jeff Adler for that final spot on the podium. And Pat Vellner will take 9th. We are down to the final event, and we have tight races on top of both leaderboards. Still plenty of spots open on the podium and plenty that needs to be decided with one event remaining here at the 2023 Rogue Invitational.